Hey everyone, it's Carly Hall, and today's tutorial is going to be another Starbucks cup, but instead of doing a design around the logo like the last video, we are going to do a full wrap. So I got several messages about how do you do that. I did include the template on this blog post, so if you head over to carlyhall.com/Starbucks, you'll find this post and you'll see this video. I'll add the new one as well, and you'll scroll down and just download the SVG. You'll agree to the terms and conditions which say that you cannot resell the SVG, but if you want to create finished projects and sell those, you absolutely can do that. So if you want to share the SVG, just send people back to my blog. Okay, so now we're going to put our name and our email and then submit. You'll get a download button, so go ahead and click that. It'll download a zip file, and it usually will go right to your downloads folder. So you'll double click on that to extract it, and then it will show you the SVG. We'll go over to Cricut Design Space and click upload, and then we're going to upload that file. So we know that mine was in my downloads folder, so we'll just click on the SVG and open that up. Then click save. We'll click on that uploaded file and insert it into Design Space. And it should come in at these dimensions, 11.4 by 10.9. So just double check to make sure it's the right size. Then we're going to ungroup it, and I'm not going to use these circle pieces, so you can either hide them or delete them. Then we're going to choose our pattern. So I'm using this cartridge called Edge to Edge, this image set, and we're going to scroll down and choose a cheetah print. You also have a really cute flower print over here. So I'm just going to choose this one and insert that onto my canvas and rotate it. We can resize it to fit over our cup design, however you want it to look. And then you're going to highlight both of them. You'll want to make sure that you only have 2 layers here so that when you slice it apart, it allows you to see the slice button. If the slice button is grayed out, that's why. It's because you can only slice 2 layers. So make sure that you have 2 layers only selected and then click slice. Depending on the pattern type that you're going for, you can choose the piece that you want to use. So if you want a completely solid wrap that goes around, you can choose this piece, but I actually want the little print piece. I want this piece. So you'll go ahead and delete everything that you don't want. And then what I did on my last cup is I contoured out any of the small pieces. So I didn't want any of my pieces to be sliced off. So I contoured out anywhere that they had a slice. So we're just going to open the contour window. And then you can contour out any of the pieces that you don't want. So I'm just going to take out all of these edge pieces. And then once you're happy with how it looks, I'm going to recommend that you cut a few extra spots so that you can fill in this back panel. So then when I show you what it looks like, you can see that I kind of have these open spaces. So I'm going to make a copy of this one, and then I'm just going to take a little bit of the pattern and just add that to an extra cut. So you can contour. I'm just going to say hide all contours, zoom out so we can see, and then I'm just going to pick some of my favorite spots, and I'm going to try to keep them all in this area so they cut nice and tight. And then I'm going to cut this extra piece. So when we cut it, you'll see that I can fit those extra pieces on the back where I need to fill in. So we're going to click Make It and Get Cutting. Just preview to make sure that everything looks good. You can see that this went to a different mat, so I'm just going to move this object to the first mat and stick it on here so that we can use the same sheet of vinyl. And then click Continue. Connect to your machine and choose the vinyl that you're working with. I'm using StandardGrip vinyl, and I found that the premium outdoor vinyl works the best for that cut. And then I usually boost it up to more just to be on the safe side. Place your vinyl on your cutting mat with the colored side facing you, and then load that into your machine. When you're loading your machine, hold your mat against the rollers, and then while still holding, click the load button. Then click the go button. If you're unsure if your vinyl settings were correct, you can kind of just lift up one of the pieces to see if it cut through, and mine cut through, so I'm good to go. But if it didn't, instead of pressing the unload button, you'll just click the Cricut C button again and it will do another pass. So before you unload it, click that C if you want it to cut again. So then we'll click unload since mine cut through. Once your machine is done cutting, we're going to flip over the mat and peel the mat away from the vinyl so that the vinyl cut doesn't bubble or bend. Using a pair of scissors, you're going to trim down your design close enough to your design that you can save all the extra vinyl, but not too close where you cut your actual image. Next, you'll weed your design. I'm using the pin pen from 651 vinyl, and you'll roll your vinyl so that it pushes onto the liner. It should weed pretty easily. So just slowly go so that you don't miss any of your vinyl pieces. And then you can save this for a stencil if you want, or toss it. We'll weed our extra pieces and keep these to the side. Now, before I put my transfer tape on my decal, I want to talk about transfer tape. This is my test cup, and you can see that the logo is kind of messed up because I've been testing different transfer tapes on it. So let me show you what I mean. So here's a transfer tape. This is one of my favorites, and I will put a link in the description. But I'm just going to trim off a strip. And when I put this over my cup and peel away, I'm not sure if you can see, but there's little flecks of green. Let me put it on the paper so maybe you can see that better. But there's little flecks of green from the logo. So it's really important that your transfer tape isn't too sticky. So what I recommend you doing is either using an old piece of transfer tape or de-sticking your transfer tape onto your surface so that it's not too sticky and won't peel away that color. So let's do a test and see how this one does. So it's still picking up a little bit. So you want it to be not super sticky. And I'm going to try a different transfer tape as well. So this transfer tape is a paper transfer tape. So let's try this one. It's very similar to lint roller material. So we're just going to stick that on the logo. And this one you can see really pulls it off. I was actually thinking this would be better. So the paper transfer tape is very sticky compared to the other tape. And it's really just coming off like around her face. So just be aware when you're using your transfer tape. I'm going to cut a hole around the logo, but I just wanted to call out, you don't want to stick your transfer tape right over that logo. So I think we'll stick with this transfer tape, and I'll link it in the video description. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, a lot of people recommend wiping your cup with alcohol. And I wanted to see if that would take off some of the logo. So if we wipe this, I just wanted to make sure that it didn't take off the logo. Okay, so it looks like there's only a little bit of residual dust from that logo. I personally don't wipe my cups with alcohol. I usually just wet them with a wet paper towel, but now you can see that the alcohol doesn't take anything off. My only concern was that maybe it could seep into the plastic. So I personally just use a paper towel that's a little bit damp to wipe off my cups. All right, so now that we know what to do, we are going to put our transfer tape on our decal. I am going to de-stick it a little bit so that it's not too sticky. So you'll just want to pull a piece that's big enough for your wrap. And I'm going to de-stick it right on my tabletop. The other thing that you can do is de-stick it on your shirt or a piece of fabric like a t-shirt. So I'm gonna stick this right onto a t-shirt so it's just a little bit less sticky. Let's see how it does now that it's de-stuck. Just a little test. And it's still picking up that logo. So again, just be aware when you're using transfer tape. So I'm gonna put it on and then I'm just gonna cut out that center. So I'm going to roll it onto my design and then burnish it on with a SVG and do the back as well. And then before I take it off, I'm going to cut out this circle and then I'm going to cut tight around the design now that I can see it. And then now I'm just going to cut out that center. So I'm just going to pinch in there and cut around. so that my transfer tape doesn't ruin my logo. It looks pretty good. Now we're going to use my test cup and just see how it fits. So for my past cups, I have just been sticking them on with the transfer tape, but since we cut a hole in it, we're going to use the hinge method. So for the hinge method, you're going to line up your cup where you want it. And once you're happy with your placement, you're just going to stick a piece of tape and then just tape it onto the other side too. And make sure that your hinge is holding your design pretty tight so it's not moving. Okay, so then once you have your hinge placed, you're going to peel up one side. So whatever side you want to do first, you're going to peel up that side. So I'm going to do this side first. And we're just going to peel up the vinyl and just make sure you don't lose any of your spots. Then you're going to snip off the liner. And then slowly, you're going to push down the transfer tape and your vinyl. And if you see any of your spots that are out of place, we can adjust those. They aren't permanent until they completely cure. Then we're going to peel off that hinge. So now you have one side taped down and then one side flapping. And you're going to roll that back and peel off your liner. And then slowly push this side down onto your cup. And again, if any of your spots are off, don't worry. We can adjust all of the spots since they're not completely permanent yet. So next you'll just burnish it on, either using your squeegee or your finger, and just smooth it out so that your vinyl sticks to the plastic cup. Then starting on either side, you can just peel back your transfer tape. If your spots aren't sticking, you can kind of roll them off to get them started. Find your edge of your transfer tape and just roll it off. So this is where de-sticking your transfer tape really comes into play. If you don't de-stick it, it just might be a little bit more challenging to stick your little pieces. Once you're done, you can save that transfer tape for another project if you'd like. And then there are just a couple of spots that are poking up off the edge. So you can adjust these however you'd like so that they are just in a better position. You can trim them off. You can use a knife and just trim them off, or you can move them up and around wherever you want to put them. So I'm just going to move these around a little bit so that they are at the bottom of my cup. And just make sure none of the other ones are hanging off the edge. And then up at the top, if you want to make sure that they're up, if you want them closer to the rim. You won't really see those. I'm going to put the cap on. They get covered up, so just high enough to where they're not going to come off. And then if you want to adjust any of the spots around the logo, you can move these a little bit tighter so that it looks completely perfect. So you can adjust these as much or as little as you want. Now on the back, where it meets, you can see that those squares are still there. And then there were a couple that I didn't see that had those straight edges, and those straight edges kind of drive me crazy. So I'm just going to pull that off and take one that doesn't have that straight edge from my extra piece and fill it in. So then that way the pattern just never ends. So I can take that off if I want to show the different squares, or I can take another spot and just fill in any of the empty spots. So totally up to you. This is why crafting is so fun, because you can make these as personalized as you want and just fill in all the empty spaces. So now my pattern is seamless and it goes around the entire cup and it looks really good. Here's the final cup. Of course, we talked about why this logo is peeled off, but that's why I do these projects, so that I can teach you what not to do. So again, make sure that you de-stick your transfer tape or cut that hole in the center so that you don't damage your logo. And then you have a super cute cup. Now remember, this is not going to be water resistant until you let it cure. So right now, that's why I can peel off the layer so easily. But once it's cured for, I do 48 hours. So 48 hours, I'm just gonna let this sit before I use it or get it wet. Then the little spots will be a lot harder to get off. And I do wash mine on the top rack of my dishwasher. So I'm gonna show you one that's been through the dishwasher. This one looks so cute. From the other video, this is my cup that I did with the same type of vinyl, Starcraft HD, the glossy kind. And this has been through the dishwasher several times. I think I'm up to like 11 now, and it's not peeling or lifting. It looks really good. So those are both the same type of vinyl. If you're looking for the how-to on how to make this, I will link this one in the video description. Hopefully you found this tutorial helpful. I feel like making the full wraps is really easy to do, especially after you do it a couple times. So just pay attention to those couple quick tips on the logo, transfer tape. You can do it without the hinge method, but I'm just such a fan of the hinge method. So I like to stick it on using the hinge method so I can line up the bottom and the top. If you found this video helpful, make sure to like it and subscribe to my channel. You can also check out the full video description for all of the products used and links to all of my social media accounts. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.